Hello, welcome. Today I want to talk about GAMEND, open source game server with a ton of features. I use this for my own game that I'm developing, and it has authentication features. For example, if you go to this website where I host an example of it, you can register. It supports currently Discord, Apple, Google, Facebook, Steam, and email. And also you can log in if you have an account already. I can log in with Google, for example. It uses my cache token. It also supports users. I can see my own user if I go to account. My user is admin, so I have a bunch of buttons here. So if I go to account, I can change my display name. I can change my password, my email. I can link more accounts. I can delete my user, and I can see my own metadata. Then as an admin, I have access to this admin panel. And here, this admin panel gives me at a glance some kind of overview. I can see I have a bunch of users because I made test users. And I can see all the users here. I can see who is online, who is offline. I can see test users. I also support device ID users, meaning just users with token. This also supports lobbies. A lobby is a game where people queue and they can play, and you have your actual game logic use that. And as an admin, I have access to this lobbies tab, and here I can manage lobbies, create a new lobby. You can only be in a lobby at a time, leave a lobby, and also I can go to the admin tab, and I have a button here for lobbies. I can view all the lobbies, view the members, edit the lobby, and then there's also a groups feature. I can view groups, I can join a group, I can leave a group, and if I go to account groups, I can create a group of my own. Groups can be private, public, and hidden, and I can also invite people to groups if I have friends. Another feature that it has is friends. I can view my friends at the friends tab. I can invite friends, send invites, decline, accept. And there's also a chat feature, and I can talk with both friends or with groups. I can send messages, I can edit, delete messages. Okay, another feature is the notifications. I'll enter with another account, and here I have two notifications. For example, I have new messages. I can open this notification. They get automatically read when you open them. Another feature is leaderboards. Leaderboards can only be created from the server side, and they have seasons, they can expire, and they support multiple types of leaderboards, such as increment or best or other or set. And they can also be viewed from the admin panel and be created from here. There's also a feature of server-side scripting. This is probably the most powerful one, where I can write directly code in Elixir, which is the language that this server runs, and I'll show you now. Here I have an example hook, and it has a bunch of callbacks. So there's the after startup. For example, here I just log something, and there's a ton of callbacks. And one callback I use is I expose a custom callback called hello, where I return something. And again, if I go to the admin panel, there's also configuration where you can view all the configuration of the server, but here you can also view the custom exposed functions, and you can directly call them. So I'm going to call hello, and you'll see it returns some data. Okay. Also on the admin panel, you can view the tokens of user authenticated, the parties. Parties are some concept where you create a party, and then with that party you join a lobby. And there's also achievements. Achievements also can only be created from the server side, and you can give people achievements using the achievement API. And you can view also achievements on the web. Everything is viewable from the browser, so there's a browser view for everything. And there's also SDK. There is also a blog support, so you can also write MD blog, and there's also changelog support. You can write a page with a changelog. There's also a guides page where it goes in depth into every feature and how to configure it. For example, there's the architecture, so how it works. I'll quickly go over this. There's clients. You can have a JavaScript, Godot SDK, or the browser. Then there's the game server, which I talked about, and then there's the external dependencies. It has a database, both SQLite and Postgres. Reason for SQLite is that maybe you want to run it in development, and it just costs $5. And if you use Postgres, it's a bit more expensive, but you can scale it with Postgres, Elixir, and caching. You can also use Redis for caching. And then the OAuth providers and email. For OAuth providers, you have here how to configure all of them. It's quite simple. For email, also a tutorial for scaling, and for every other feature, small how to configure. Okay. The server also has a SDK side for the client or for your game, and for that there's an API doc with every function it has, and here you can also test it. You can authorize and log in using this in your own game, or you can generate a provider access link that when you go to, you authenticate and then you give the code back to the app and it generates a JWT token. You can authorize here and then try all the functions. And then from this, I generate both JavaScript and Godot SDK. I can show you this quickly. If I go to the guides, if I go to Godot SDK, so the SDK is here, then you can use it like this. So you can just use GAMEND API, and then, for example, you can call the health index. It's fully awaitable. Same for JavaScript. You can install it, and then you can use it and call all the functions that you can do from the browser. So aside for having all these features, it also has the web interface where people can go and view other people's stuff. You can also view general things when you're offline, such as leaderboards, achievements, groups, and you can also use it from your game. And lastly, I will show a short example of how to get started with it. Here there is a GAMEND starter where there are some files that you can configure. It says in the README which, and there is a Docker file and a Docker compose. So if I run this, it'll start the server locally, and I have the modules here where I can configure everything, including the server-side scripting and other configurations. So now if I go to the localhost port 4000, I see I have it running locally. I haven't configured many images. And then now if I would log in, I can go to the admin portal and see all the custom configurations I set. So for this you can set the blog, you can set the changelog, you can set the custom theme if you want, and the game. This is important as this is the game I'm developing, right? And you can also run the game directly from the browser. This is cool because I'm currently logged in and I'm sharing the session in the game. So for example, the game knows I'm authenticated as this user. If I go to this page, I can see this is indeed my name, and it's all working also from the game. This is in Godot, so you can see both the leaderboards, the friends, the groups. I have here a custom server-side function that when you do something, it unlocks, and I have achievements that you can view when you unlock, and settings which are also set on the server side. And all this data is set and viewable by the user, so the user can view all the data they have access to. It also has privacy policy, terms and conditions, everything, so you can get ready to even upload the game on Steam, on App Store, on any platform. For the real-time aspect, it uses WebSockets, and you can do real-time listening on the web and on mobile and on desktop and on console. That's it. Thank you.